How do I get the best deal? Hey, I am Chuck the Bureaucrat, and we have talked a couple of times about Concurrent Retired and Disability Pay, CRDP, and Combat-Related Special Compensation, or CRSC. And there are a number of questions that, well, they tend to come up pretty frequently. These questions include, can I get both? Which one is better? And how would I switch between them? Well, to answer that first question, no. You cannot get both CRDP and CRSC, which is why it is so important that you pick the one that is most beneficial to you. Although, in a second, you'll see that for most folks, the answer is pretty obvious. Before getting into all that, it's important to know that for most retirees, CRDP is automatic. If you receive retired pay from DFAS and the VA is compensating you based on a disability rating of 50% or higher, then you will automatically be receiving CRDP. The largest group of people where this doesn't happen is with medical retirees who have less than 20 years of service, and that's because they just don't qualify for CRDP at all. But CRSC is not automatic. You have to apply for it, and your application has to go through your service. It's your service, the Marine Corps or the Space Force, that will make the determination whether or not some of your illnesses or injuries are actually combat related. Now, just as an aside here, some people have told me that their VA claim letter indicates that certain injuries or illnesses are combat related without them having requested this through their service. I don't know if those determinations were made by the service or if they were made by the VA. I don't know if the service, when they're doing a CRSC determination, looks at that assessment and just rubber stamps it. And more importantly, I don't know if the service ever contradicts what's on the VA letter. So if you have experience with this, I would really appreciate a comment. Now, if you are eligible for both CRSC and CRDP, then in the first year of your eligibility, DFAS is just going to give you the entitlement that grants you the highest gross amount, in pre-tax dollars. For most people, that's going to be the best option. More money is more better. And the reason for that is that a lot of times you'll have somebody whose final rating for service-connected conditions is 100%, but only 70% of their conditions are combat-related. So CRDP at 100%, well, that's better than CRSC at 70%. Now, in those cases where the service-connected rating and the combat-related rating are exactly the same, then CRSC is going to be the best option because CRSC is tax-free and CRDP, well, it's taxed. Again, it's pretty obvious which entitlement is the best, and that's not going to change from year to year. Where things get tricky is when it comes to divorce decrees, and if you're in this situation, you really need to talk to a lawyer because each case is different. Technically, CRDP can be divided by the courts, and CRSC, well, it's not supposed to be divided. But talk to your lawyer before taking action, because if your spouse had a smart attorney, well, they knew how to write the divorce decree to get around those rules. So the terms of your personal divorce decree, well, it may upend any attempt to have a cut and dried answer about which entitlement is best. All right, now let's suppose that you want to change the program that your benefits are coming from. Like I said, when you first become eligible for both programs, DFAS just picks the program that gives you the highest total pre-tax amount. But CRDP and CRSC have an open season. usually in January, where service members can change which program they're getting paid out of. In fact, in that very first year that you become eligible, DFAS is supposed to send you a form and give you 45 days to fill it out and send it back, picking which program you want to receive compensation from. Although I would warn you that if switching between programs is important to you, I would not just sit around waiting for that form to show up in the mail. And now there is one final question that people ask, and it goes something like this. Suppose they're one of those guys who has 100% service-connected, permanent and total, and their combat-related illnesses and injuries only total up to, 70%. Should they even bother applying for CRSC, knowing that in the end they'll make more money collecting from CRDP, which they're already getting? I tend to answer that question yes, although I would be curious what your thoughts are. Even though it may not impact the CRSC versus CRDP decision, there may be some additional programs, particularly at the state or local level, where that combat-related rating is important. And so, nailing that rating down, well, it certainly can't hurt. And earlier, I made the comment that medical retirees, the so-called Chapter 61 retirees, they get different treatment under these programs, not necessarily better treatment. And if you want to understand what that's all about, watch this video.